tonight. It's going to be the last home game of the Romo Fijo for about a week and a half. And they're playing the Orlando Magic tonight, who are so far an okay team. 7 o'clock is your tip-off right around the corner, and then 6:30 means that's
like a day early.
Yeah, they fired the person who leaked it. Somebody who was working for, who makes GTA? Is it Rockstar?
Yeah, I think it's
Somebody who works for Rockstar Games leaked the trailer. They were immediately fired. But it has already set the Guinness World Record for the most viewed video on YouTube. It got 90 million views in the first 24 hours.
Oh, my God.
Well, they used to put these games out. They used to put GTA games out like every 18 months, every couple of years. It's been a good decade, right? Since the last one. I was never heavy into Grand Theft Auto. I've kind of played casually a couple of times.
There's always been a good amount of time between, because they make these games so massive. So I think the first one came out in the 90s, and then
it's been around a long time.
Yeah, like there's other games that they crank out way faster than this one. So,
yeah.
So people have been waiting a long time for this game. So there is massive hype for it.
Because every iteration of this game, the world got bigger and bigger and bigger. And so, yeah, they were going to drop.
Technology gets so much better.
Yeah, they were going to drop the trailer yesterday, but it was, they had to drop it to YouTube the night before because one of their own employees leaked it.
You think he got paid to do that, or they got paid to do that?
Why, he got fired, so if he got paid, it was severance.
No, I'm saying that someone else was like, hey, I'll pay you X amount of dollars if you drop it early. Like an outside, like a bribe. Or they just wanted to screw over the company. That's my question.
I mean, this isn't even out until 2025, by the way. So it's not out next month.
Right.
Well, that's my question. What is the motive for losing your job and getting paid to drop it? Yeah, I don't know.
I'm guessing he did get some sort of kickback.
Someone
You think
him.
so?
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
Well, what's the point of doing it and not getting something? You think there's got
because everybody wants to be the cool dude who knows something before everybody else.
But you're going to lose your job.
Well, I don't know if he knew that. You can say it wasn't you, but if you're working for a company that probably tracks every bit of data that comes out of your workstation, out of whatever it is, I don't know. I would imagine maybe somebody did it. People do this stuff all the time because they don't think they're going to get caught. But who knows? Maybe. Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer racked up a total of 90.4 million views. It surpassed Mr. Beast, if you're hip to him, for the most watched non-music video ever on YouTube. By a lot, by the way. So, yeah, this isn't even out next year. It's out in 2025. But people are so excited to see just a little bit of what it's going to be. There's been a lot of immediate right-wing trolling because there's a trans character in it. Because, of course, when you have to build a world, that world is going to have transgender people in it. That is the world.
How come on and the other ones had trans people in it? They may have.
I don't know that they didn't. I'm not a diehard GTA player.
I don't know.
But it's going back to Vice City for people who know all about this. I mean, there are people who are diehard Grand Theft Auto fans.
I haven't played one, I think, since Vice City.
Yeah. So that's very exciting news for them. Little devotion, not devotion to accuracy, but I guess a show note, and this is kind of the point that I try to get across to my colleagues here, is that even when, I talk about how it's hard to navigate the information that you're getting to your audience because a lot of people kind of are listening. We're audio wallpaper. And so even when people are, what drives this home is that even when people are listening directly to us, they still miss what we're saying. So all the people saying, oh, the show's not going to be the same without Mary, she's not leaving the show. She said that. She said that.
People ask me this.
I appreciate the concern. I mean, but she, in her announcement yesterday, said, I will be moving to and broadcasting from New York City.
And broadcasting on this show. Broadcasting on the Alan Cox Show.
So to be clear,
New York City.
We have next Thursday as our last live show of the year. So we have 5 live shows after today remaining. And then we will return live on January the 3rd. That'll be our first live show of 2024. Mary will be in studio in New York.
On this show.
On this program.
Just like when I'm on the road and I broadcast from Cincinnati or Nashville or Chicago, It will be exactly the same. You guys won't even audibly be able to tell the difference.
Are you going to be doing as much road work, or will you be laser focused on New York?
And that's what I told Rob and Keith in the original email. I was like, in a way, I'm going to be on the show more. I'm going to be on Alan Cox Show more.
I was thinking about that this morning. I was making a mental note. I'm like, I have to ask Mary about this because I think I know the answer.
Yeah.
You don't go to New York so you can go on the road.
Right.
But I was like, she's actually going to be on more.
Yes, which is much to the dismay of other listeners who I got plenty of DMs
screw them.
that were like, thank God you're out of here, you dumb bitch. I'm like, go watch the clip again, idiot.
Right. Yeah, pay closer attention.
Right. But yeah.
Well, some people just fear generic change.
Yeah.
That was one of the comments in the live stream yesterday. Is like, I hate change so much. And it's like, that.
My life is changing. Your life is not changing.
Mary's life is changing.
Mary's got a lot to do. She's got to figure out where her mail's going.
Right. I gotta find out who's paying my
that's the part. I'm excited for you to get there, but I can't wait for you to be settled there because I know that first month and a half.
I'm not going to be settled until summer.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you got a good 6 months.
But I mean, at least, the first month and a half, finding a place and getting your stuff to New York, which is a whole
nother thing.
I had to drive a box truck through New York City when I lived there, and it's not
Fortunately, you're going 2 miles an hour once you get into the city, so.
But there's some real tight places.
Oh, yeah, you're navigating the...
No, I will be broadcasting on this show, just like you hear it right now, but just from New York City. But yeah, I'll actually be on the show more. Mm-hmm. The going away show for me is at Hilarities on December 28th, which is already more than half sold out. I got a text today that was like, yo, this is insane. So thank you to everybody who already bought tickets. And if you're waiting to buy tickets or haven't heard of this yet, no joke, get them this week because they're not going to be left. It's going to be a lot of, I had high school teachers reaching out to me.
Why now?
I always knew you were going to be something big. I'm like, bitch, you kicked me out of class every day. What are you talking about?
At least they remember who you are.
You did not like me.
You have so many people that remember you and support you. I have never heard from a single teacher that didn't just happen to be at one of my shows.
But you also didn't do school like I did.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Force.
So for when you say you didn't no, your teachers liked you.
But my brothers called me Captain High School. I was the president of every club I was in. I had over a 4.0 GPA. I was president of the class. I was overly involved.
You didn't want to be at home.
Exactly. My home life was trash. It was either go home and get fleas or stay at school and improve your GPA,
Will Mary still wear makeup in New York City?
I don't wear makeup now. Are you looking at my face?
She will. She'll start wearing makeup.
You know what? I thought about that today. So I put on my calves oversized sweater and my leggings and my Jordans.
You can't dress like this in New York anymore.
It's a cute look, but I'm going to be going straight from radio to shows where I'm like, dude, I'm going to have to try every day.
Yeah.
That's going to be the worst part of this.
Well, that's where you try.
But I don't want to. No, I'm just kidding.
You're moving because you want to. Of course you do.
But I did think about that.
Cleveland cute is no longer enough.
I was like, I'm going to need more than one pair of jeans. This is nuts. But yeah, I am still broadcasting. I am on the show. I think that was the most common question was that. I'm going to miss you. Good luck. My drive home will be different. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So.
Yeah. Because, Bill, when you lived there, you lived in Astoria, yeah?
Yeah.
Was it reasonable?
Rent-wise? Reasonable.
For back then, we had a real tough situation where it was a one-bedroom that I shared with two other comics. And so we were only paying $500 a piece, but me and another comic were sleeping on a bunk bed.
Yeah.
It was a nice, clean, updated, newer apartment. It was a nice apartment, but it was just, kind of it was a 30-minute trip into the city. It wasn't too bad.
And I get that, but that's kind of why I'm happy I'm in the position I'm in. Another comment commented on my post on Instagram saying that, he's being in my 40s, I'm glad to hear you're stable. You have a job and you have money saved up. Whereas the girl I'm moving with, she just sold her house in Indianapolis. So she has, well over 6 figures in the bank.
Right, because she's not buying a new house.
Exactly. So
she owned the house?
She owned the house and sold it in Indiana.
Wasn't paying.
No, she owned the house and has all of her money from that. She was like, I can live comfortably for a couple years with no job. So I know that she's not going to bail or be like, hey, I ran out of money. Sorry, I'm moving back. I've been saving up for 3 years, not specifically for this, but I have money in the bank and now a job and streaming money. So that's a different situation, and I feel very blessed to be 34. While it does feel old to start over, it feels good to not need 7 roommates, you know?
T-Pain had money in the bank, too.
But he was buying drinks.
Yeah, he was for
and
strippers.
I am not.
All right.
It's another way to save.
Yeah, when you're not buying drinks.
Now you got to be careful of them $55 salads and stuff.
I will tell you, last time I went to New York, I went on a coffee shop tear to try to find the best iced mocha I could find. And that lasted about 2 days because...
How does one determine the best iced mocha?
Best iced mocha is going to be the one that you make at home.
Yes.
Right.
To
You
my
better get
taste.
some quick.
It was like the 3rd day in a row that I spent $11 on an iced coffee, and I was like, I'm done. I'll just,
You
know
were looking
what?
within a 5-block radius, or
Just wherever I was by a show or by whatever I was doing that day, whatever touristy stuff. But an iced mocha is one of my favorite coffee drinks. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to find the best iced mocha in Astoria or whatever. And then 3 days in a row, because it's like,
and then I can blog about it.
but then out there, it's like, okay, the coffee's already $6. And then oat milk is an extra $2.50. And then this, and then that, you know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, we're just going to take my Keurig, buy me a little off-brand coffee pods, and we'll be fine.
Well, it's all getting planned out.
It's been great. The comments, so I posted the clip from the show, and some people are wild in these comments. One person...
Well, one person right now is like, why is she looking at the camera when she's talking to Alan? I'm like, Alan's right behind her camera.
Right.
And then when you think she's talking to Alan, she's actually looking at me.
Right. It's all a mess.
And yeah. So
Why are they worried about that?
People
there's people
are
that are
crazy.
just so annoying, and like I don't normally like time people out. Like you can put people in timeout. This person's being so annoying that I timed them out for 300 seconds. So they got a little 5-minute timeout just because you're annoying.
You mean in YouTube?
Yeah.
In the
Oh.
live stream
Yeah.
chat?
Yeah.
Timed
I was-
out.
Yeah.
Timed out. You
Oh.
can make them so they can't comment for a little while.
For 300 seconds.
I was...
But don't they just go right back to flaming again?
Well, then I time on out again.
That sounds like a lot of work for no change in behavior.
Well, usually it does change their behavior.
I see.
Yeah, in the comments, one person on the video that I put, and again, there's 400 comments. I'm doing my best because some people are asking legitimate questions or asking for clarification on things with like Brian and I or the station or whatever. And one person was like, stay in Cleveland. Don't you know New York's expensive? And I commented back, I was like, is it? Like, is it like that's the first thing you thought was like, I wonder if she looked into rent. That's like people commenting things like that make me laugh. You know, parking's going to be tough. Yeah, no, I know. That kind of is baked into the cake of it.
I was watching a show on the Travel Channel about New York, and it said things are really expensive there.
You know the crime there?
Yes, it's
you
very
aware?
funny.
Oh, no, the crime's exactly the same. That's the one thing that won't change. The crime between Cleveland and New York, exactly the
No,
same.
there's more people.
There's
way more
probably going to
crime.
be, per capita.
Per capita.
There's probably going to be more people out on the sidewalk taking a full-on dump, but at least in New York, they have the good sense to wipe themselves with a nearby newspaper or something. Out here, they just
And I will say, Mary,
squeeze a link right onto Euclid Avenue.
I know you said you're not starting OnlyFans, but you said you had a sugar daddy arrangement. You're getting a Midwest sugar daddy arrangement.
I know.
That's nothing compared to a New York or
Wouldn't
an
that be
LA.
great?
That is gross.
You got a whole new fan base,
Oh,
someone
babe.
who wants to, oh, sweetie, you're new in town.
Let me help you out.
Exactly.
Let me pay your rent.
These are-
You act like Mary is 16 from Warsaw,
matter.
Indiana,
They're
right
looking
off
for
the
fresh
bus.
meat.
Fresh meat.
New York money.
Tell
is
me more
different
about New
money.
York, Poundcake.
Just saying.
City you've never been to.
Yes. How many
right.
times have you been in New York? Tell us all about it.
I got friends that live in New York.
Yeah. I got friends who live in Copenhagen, but I don't know anything about the city other than that's where they're the world's largest exporter of chewing tobacco.
Got some old money in Manhattan. You can find
I
you a
know.
sugar daddy. That's nothing. He's like, oh, you only want $50,000 a year? That's it? Sweetie, that's a car note for me.
I was talking to, I think I told the story when my sister and I went out to the Redwoods and we stayed in this, it was a really swanky, very expensive bed and breakfast. This was back the year my dad died, 2021. Took our little sister trip and we're going to go into, this was, I'm Living for Me
I'm
part
Living
2.
for Me, yeah.
This is part 2. And we stayed in that bed and breakfast and there was a couple a retired couple that was staying in the B&B with us, and they're from New York City. They were both worked on the stock exchange in like the 80s or 90s whenever it exploded. So they are set for life. They're both retired. They have no kids. I text them. So the last few times I went to New York, I had lunch with them. I've stayed in contact. I text the woman. I was like, hey, I'm moving to New York City. You know, I'm looking for places. If you know anybody that's renting or this or that, just let me know. And she was like, oh, we live on the Upper West Side. It's a little expensive here, but you can get a really nice place for like $8,000. And I'm like, lady.
$9,000 a month.
But she's like, old, not old money, but they've been rich for 40 years. They've been New York City rich. They live on the Upper West Side, and she said that their apartment overlooks Central Park.
Yeah.
So like
billionaires row. Not
that's
even
what I mean.
millionaires, billionaires row.
So it's just funny to me that when I was like, we're looking for something affordable, her mind was like, oh, this peasant wants an $8,000 a month apartment. It made me laugh so hard. I was like, oh, that's very kind of you. But we're looking more like, you know.
She's like, oh, well, go live in Harlem then. Jesus.
Well, actually, I had
You know that's like 4 blocks away too, right, Poundcake?
yeah,
From where she's talking about.
well,
No, I didn't
and
know. Harlem's not expensive.
Well, it's that's part of that city.
I had a friend who's
That
a
area.
comic who's a woman, and she was like, dude, don't ignore the north side of the city. She's like, because it's not 1975. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
there's racial tension in Harlem. She's like, you'll get called a white bitch a time
It's
or
not
two.
Molotov cocktails.
Right,
It's-
but
yeah.
she's like,
Same
it's
thing
a
happens when you go over to the east side over there on East 9th.
East 9th. They
Yeah.
call you a white bitch there too. In the
White bitch
subway,
going to
no
Heinen's
less.
over there getting another $9 salad.
Hey, white bitch.
yeah. She's like, you might. I mean, there's racial tension for sure. She's like, but I felt she lived there. She said for like 5 or 6 years. She's like, I felt perfectly safe. You get plenty of space for your money because people do think it's.
You can
just
overlook the Harlem River. You could get a spot overlooking the whole thing there.
But yeah,
Little Dominican Republic.
whatever.
I've got to take a break. If you want to text for any